guys, it's Anissa. In today's video, I am filming another review for you guys. I feel like I've been spitting these videos out like rapid fire, but there's just so much new makeup coming out right now and I'm trying to keep up my best that I can. But in today's video, I'm going to be testing the new Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Soft Matte Powder Foundation. Before we go any further, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. I post on this channel every 4 days, so you never have to miss me for too long. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. All right, guys, it is day one of this review. I already did my eyeshadow and my eyebrows. I'm really not the biggest fan of either. I feel like this always happens on the first day. I am just going to start with primer today, and since we are testing a more mattifying product, I'm going to try to, at least for the first day, not use a mattifying foundation or a mattifying primer. I'm just going to be using this e.l.f. Mineral Infused Primer. This stuff is so good. If you like silicone-based primers, you will like this stuff. It helps your makeup glide onto the skin really easily. Since I'm doing multiple days, I usually can't fit the links of everything in the description box, but I will leave the names of all the products that I used. I am just going to quickly color correct and contour. For my color correcting, I'm going to be using this Urban Decay Naked Skin Color Corrector, and this is in the color Deep Peach. And then for my contour, I have been testing out this Huda Beauty Tantour Contour and Bronzer Cream, and this is in the color Medium. I still don't know how I feel about this. It's very easy to blend out, which I will show you guys, but I think I prefer my Fenty over this. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I have not used this foundation a lot, and if you guys have watched my videos, I say over and over and over again, I will always use products that I absolutely love. But the only reason that I'm using this foundation is because I want to compare the hydrating foundation to the soft matte foundation with the powder foundation together and see which one I like better. This is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Hydrating Longwear Foundation, and I'm in the color 420. It is really pretty. It's just a more natural foundation, and I'm just gonna use a sponge for all over the face. Usually if I'm testing a foundation, I will use half sponge, half brush, but we're not testing liquid foundation, we're testing powder foundation. And when I use pressed powders, I will only use a dense powder brush. I don't use a sponge for a compact. Personally, I think I get the most coverage. This smells like yogurt. The Yoplait vanilla yogurt. I don't feel like the under eyes really matter because I'm using a concealer and I'm setting them with a completely different powder. So for the concealer, I'm gonna be using the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind, and I'm in the color Tan 146. For my powder, I'm just gonna be using my Laura Mercier, and this is in the color Honey. My last review I did, go check that out and you'll understand why I'm doing this. Now it is time for the star of the show. Today I am going to be testing Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Soft Matte Powder Foundation, color 420, and I was a little bit hesitant to get the color 420 because it looked a little bit different than the foundation shades, but I thought it would be good to get 420, that way I can show you guys if the matches are true from the hydrating foundation to the powder foundation to the soft matte foundation. This is just what the component looks like. Very similar to their packaging, it kind of has that geometric shape to it, and this is what the powder looks like. This is the color 420 again, so I actually think this is going to be a really good match for me. For my powder foundations, I really like to use this IT Cosmetics 301 buffing foundation brush, or I like the e.l.f. flat top powder brush. That one is so good. Just want to mention it does have a mirror in it also. A lot of powder foundations will have a pretty good amount of kickback when you put your brush in there. This does not. This claims to be a light as air powder foundation that gives you light to full coverage with a soft matte finish. Under coverage it says medium, so I don't know if they just like ballparked it and went in the middle. The finish is supposed to be matte, vegan, cruelty-free, gluten-free, non-cakey, blurred finish with no flashback, which I'll take a picture in a second. It's supposed to be sweat, humidity, crease resistant, and it comes in 50 shades. I think that this will be all right in the summertime. It's not super dark, but it's definitely a little bit darker than my chest. So like a shade or maybe even two lighter than what you are in the liquid foundations. As far as like perfect match goes, I would say no. Medium to full coverage, more on the full side of things. I could definitely see the product when I was putting it on my skin. One thing though, I did feel like I really had to buff it into my skin. I don't feel like it was really going on super easily. As mattifying, I feel like I have to really buff this into the skin, and You know, the more I kind of sat here for a second and thought about it, the way that this applied really reminded me of how eyeshadow initially goes on when you have a tacky base. It's like it sticks to the tacky parts and then you really have to blend it out. When I think of powder foundation, I think of something kind of melts into the skin, makes everything look really flawless. My pores look better than what they usually do. I'm just going to use this MAC blush in Raisin. One of my favorite steps, and a step that has changed my life, is using setting spray after I do my blush and my powder. I will soak it into my skin either with a fan. It will just really help everything melt together. You guys probably can't even tell through the camera, but I can just tell looking in my mirror. That just really helped to mush and blend everything together. Still does look a little bit weird just because it is so much darker than I am. To highlight, using this Juvia's Place Tribe in the color Volume 2. I am just a little bit worried, at least for the first 3 hours, because I will be wearing a mask. But then for the rest of the time, I won't be wearing a mask. When I am testing products that don't claim to be transfer proof, it's definitely harder, especially right now, to test them. You pretty much can't test them unless you don't leave your house. I like to go out in the elements and, you know, let the makeup really be truly tested with the environment around me. I will be wearing a mask for the first 3 hours, and then I'll take a picture after those 3 hours. And then from like 3, 6, 8, we can see what it does without the mask. It is currently 7:14. I started filming at 6. I'll probably take it off around 2. I will see you guys then. Before I go, I also wanted to give you guys an initial score. So I think I'm gonna take a point off just because it is a little bit darker than what it claims to be. It claims to be a match with the soft matte foundation, at least, and I don't agree. This definitely is a little bit darker. Also gonna take off a point because it was very hard to blend into the skin. So right now we're at an 8 out of 10. It does look really good on the skin. Like I said, I think using the setting spray really helps, but I just wanted to give you guys an initial score. I wanted to take a picture really quickly and see if this is flash resistant. It definitely isn't. If anything, it kind of made me look a little bit textured in the picture, if you guys can see that. But you can see that my neck is a lot lighter than what my face is. Always wearing this jacket in reviews. I swear. It is exactly 2:30. I'm very shocked with the results from today. I figured that my cheeks would be a lot more oily than my forehead just because some of the makeup got rubbed off. This is a pretty good amount. It's not like a whole lot. My cheeks still look pretty much the same as they did, which I'm very shocked. My makeup did not cake up around my nose as much as it usually does, so I'm gonna guess that that is the powder. Usually my makeup gets really caked up around the creases in my nose. My forehead looks like an oil slick. Let me kind of move in the light. That way you guys can see. You guys probably are like, okay, Anissa, why did you use a foundation you're not used to using? Because it may be the foundation's fault. I have quickly learned the more that I've done these. Reviews are kind of like science experiments because you have to have controls, you have to have variables. So this is gonna kind of be the control. We had that hydrating foundation, so now we're gonna see how it does with a mattifying foundation. I really don't have any makeup left on my nose whatsoever. Still no flashback. I just look actually more oily in the picture than I do in real life. You guys can see there's still no flashback. Still not the biggest fan of the color, and I really didn't appreciate the fact that I had to work as hard as I did to get it blended into the skin. I'm gonna knock it down to a 7 out of 10. It didn't hold up super well on my forehead, and my cheeks do look pretty good. In the last video, my forehead was the thing that stayed matte, and then my cheeks were the thing that just, so that just goes to show you, different products do different things. So I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I feel like it doesn't really hold up to that mattifying claim. To me, when a product claims to be matte, it should be matte without the help of other products. Like, don't claim to do something if you can't do it on your own. Would I pay $40 for it again? Right now, probably not. The drugstore does do a very good job at powder foundations. We're gonna see how it works with one of my favorite foundations of all time. I will see you guys tomorrow. All right, guys, it is day 2. I went ahead and did my eyebrows. For primer today, I'm gonna be using one of my favorites of all time. This is the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer. As I'm applying this, I kind of wanna tell you guys what I've been thinking about for the past 24 hours. I think I'm gonna have to test this product out for more than 3 days. In this video, I really wanted to compare how the powder performs with the hydrating foundation versus with the soft matte foundation. And this is the e.l.f. Total Face Sponge. I will take an e.l.f. sponge over a beauty blender any day. They're so much softer. They're so much bigger. If you're somebody that likes a denser beauty sponge, you probably will not like e.l.f. ones. They're just so airy and fluffy. I'd recommend the Real Techniques ones. Those are pretty good. Feeling a little extra tired today, so I'm gonna use this Morphe concealer. This is the lightest concealer that I have. It's in the color C3.55. Now for the star of the show, just going to go in again with this powder. I think what's making me so hesitant with this powder is the fact that it is so much darker on my skin than it is in the pan. I'm going in with this e.l.f. powder brush that I mentioned yesterday. Okay, well, I lied. Yesterday, it must have been the brush that I was using. I said that this had no kickback, but if you can look in there, it does. So maybe sometimes it just depends on the brush that you use. For the past couple of days, I've been applying makeup like 2 or 3 times a day. So I really went out of my way to observe how my other pressed powders blend into my skin, what kind of coverage they have. And I'm telling you, I really did sleep on that Maybelline Fit Me. I'm trying to empty it out right now because there's like a ring of product around the pan. I did notice that the Maybelline does blend into the skin a little bit better, but it still has coverage. Blending it out doesn't take away the coverage. Versus this, I feel like I really have to work. For some reason, tell me guys if you think differently, but it doesn't look as dark today. It usually changes when I put it on my forehead. Watch, I just spoke it into existence. See? So it does have coverage, but it almost, if you guys can see that, is a little bit splotchy going on, and then once you rub it in, it's a little bit better. It claims to have a more warm undertone, but this is really, to me, pulling more cool. I don't know. It's just, it's creating patches on my forehead, and my forehead, out of anything, is the one thing that I like to be blurred and filtered. Do you want me to be honest with you guys? For the price, this just is not it. I have to work really hard to get it evenly distributed. The drugstore does some things better than higher end products, and they're cheaper. So it's not just about the price, they just simply are better. I'm gonna go ahead and apply everything else on my face off camera since I showed you guys that yesterday. If my highlighter or my setting spray or my blush look really weird, then I will come back and show you guys, but if not, then I'll kind of just tell you guys my thoughts for application today. Can I be completely honest with you guys, like 100% completely honest? I'm not loving what's going on. So keep in mind, I use the exact same foundation and the exact same powder as yesterday. The only thing that changed is this primer. And I mentioned to you guys all the time, if I try new products and they don't work in conjunction with the products that I already love, they gotta go. After I had applied my blush, I had seen that there was like, I don't even know, they're like lighter spots, but also raised skin that's not little pimples. It's like a plateau that's raised on your face, kind of, sorta. And my cheeks look so super textured. My forehead really is not mattified. If you guys saw yesterday, I did a really good job at mattifying, and I said that. So I'm really surprised that today I look differently, especially right up in here. It looks very patchy, it looks very splotchy. Sometimes when you use just cream products, and this is why I don't use just cream products, they can tend to accentuate your texture a little bit. But then when you go over top of that with powder, you should look really filtered if you're using a product that works well for your skin. And this is not doing that. I mean, I can see all of the texture over here. I see all my texture over here, especially right here on my cheeks. My forehead, it looks like I have a like muddy spot right in here, and you guys can even see when my face is hitting the light, it looks not mattified. We might not be testing this for 4 days. Today I'm gonna give this like more of a 6 out of 10. Claims to give you a soft matte finish, and I know what a soft matte finish looks like because the Fenty Beauty Soft Matte Foundation is the product that had me fall in love with a soft matte finish from the beginning. After this application process, I'm really not the biggest fan. This is what I look like usually after I have my makeup on for about 4 or 5 hours. So I'm really scared to see how this is going to do today. It is currently 1:15. I started filming this at 1. I don't get off work till 10 o'clock. I will see you guys then. All right, it is currently 10:22, so it has been about 9 hours. I'm gonna make this really short. It's sweet and simple because I don't have much to say. I look awful. Look at how much more makeup is on it today than yesterday? Why is it that there's so much more makeup left? The only thing that changed between yesterday and today is the primer that I used. Yesterday I used the e.l.f. Mineral Infused Primer, which to my knowledge is not a mattifying primer. It's just more of a silicone based primer that's going to help fill in your pores. And then today I used the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip, which really doesn't claim to do anything except for make your makeup last and also to give your makeup a sticky base while hydrating. I figured out that that e.l.f. primer actually helped the powder foundation out. You guys can see from my initial application today, I was just not feeling it. I definitely looked not even glowy, I just looked oily. Definitely got really muddy right up in this area. So today this is definitely getting a 5 out of 10. It's just not, it ain't it. I'm glad that I used a different primer today because I would not have been able to tell that this is what it looked like. The primer was actually helping it out a lot more than what I thought. Tomorrow hopefully will be a little bit better. I don't know. I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay guys, it is day 3. I already applied my foundation, my concealer, and my powder because I'm actually on a very tight schedule right now. I did want to make sure that I showed you guys the application of this. It is what we're reviewing. I went ahead and used the Fenty Beauty Soft Matte Foundation, and then I also used the e.l.f. Mineral Infused Face Primer. Let's see how this looks today. Keep in mind, I already know that this powder is gonna have a little bit more help from the foundation because this is something that claims to have a soft matte finish. For some reason, does not look as dark as it did on top of the hydrating foundation. You know what? I knew I done messed it all up. Okay, but I will say the powder foundation is blending out a lot easier on top of this soft matte foundation than it is with the hydrating. You guys know I had a battle with that. Does still look a little bit muddy, and I'm not saying that it looks muddy just because it's darker. I want to mention that. I'm saying it looks muddy because I can see splotches of where there is more product in other places than there is some. Initially, this definitely looks a lot better than it did yesterday. I wanted to get on here real quick and at least show you guys the application of the powder itself. So it is doing better than it did yesterday so far. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my face and then I will talk to you guys. I just went ahead and threw on some blush and some highlighter really quickly. I actually wanted to set my face on camera for you guys. That way we could see if there's any physical changes. So I'm just gonna be using this NYX Bear With Me setting spray. I love this stuff. It will just blend all of your products together so seamlessly to make everything look like it is one. Up close, my skin actually does look a lot better than it did yesterday, which is why I'm so glad that I'm using a different foundation. Some products just do not work good with certain products, so I am going to see how it looks throughout the day. But also, this is how I felt 2 days ago. The only thing different that I used was the Mineral Infused Primer, so I'm really curious to see how this is gonna look. I'm wondering just about how long it's gonna take for my oils to really break through and everything. But yeah, it is currently 1:46. I will have it off by 10:30, so I will see you guys then. Let me just tell you guys, this has been the longest week of my life. It is 10:36, so it's been 9 hours. As we can see just from the video, definitely looks a lot better than it did yesterday. And I figured that it would do a little bit better just from the application process. I usually never have any makeup left on my nose, especially after working. I wish I would have brought my mask in, but my mask had about half as much makeup as it did on it yesterday. My forehead still looks pretty matte, but for my forehead to look like this after 9 hours, I'm impressed with the mattifying part. The color, it just looks a little bit muddy. It doesn't look, it hasn't sunk into my face really weird at all. My cheeks look decent. The only place that is really meh-ish is my nose area, and that's just because the mask touches it. I'm still really not the biggest fan of this because solely, I have so many powders that do what this powder does better times 20, and for about 1/4 of the price. I feel like when I'm reviewing a product, I try to recommend you guys stuff that I think has something that another product does not offer, and I'm not getting anything. This is just a really average, if not maybe below average product. I am going to sleep, and I'm sleeping in. I never sleep in. I will see you guys sometime tomorrow. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. Good day. This is supposed to be day 4, but I kind of slept on it and then thought about it today. I have decided I do not need to put this product on my face again. I was thinking about just doing it today just to see how it would do with the matte foundation, based especially on the first 2 days. And also some comments that people have made to me, which I will mention in a second. I just am not gonna be using this anymore. Firstly, I wanna talk about the comments. Almost everybody that saw me was like, oh my gosh, like you look so much darker. But not like in a, oh, you look glowy darker. No, like you look darker. If anything, this looks about the same as me if not a tad bit darker. But you guys saw how dark it was when I put it on my face. And I'm also kind of irritated because the shades are supposed to be an exact match and they're not. And that makes it really tricky for people, not just me, but for anybody to go buy their shade. Because if you say something is 420 and I have the liquid foundation and you have the color 420 and I'm already in the color 420, I'm gonna buy 420. Why would I buy anything else? Number two, I think because it was darker, it did look a little bit more muddy, but also I could tell that it was hanging on to certain parts of my face more than it was others, which made it look patchy. Number three, it did do pretty well yesterday as far as mattifying goes. I was impressed, especially since I was working. So it did hold up to that mattifying claim, but it also didn't, because it didn't do it on its own. It needed another matte product to do that. And to me, if you claim to be a matte product, you should be able to do that on your own. You shouldn't need the help of another product. I just don't think that this is worth the money. I've never, when reviewing a product, thought more in my head, oh my gosh, I have something that is so much cheaper that does what this is supposed to do way better. I've never thought that during a review, and that's what I thought the whole time during this. I don't even want to put this on my face again. I don't need people telling me that I look darker than what I am again. Would I use this off camera? No. B, would I repurchase it? No. C, would I recommend you guys buy it? Probably not. The main thing for me is how pricey it is. When I think of $40 powder, I think of Laura Mercier, and Laura Mercier outdoes this by leaps and bounds. And I honestly have never tried anything from Fenty that I did not like, but I've heard a lot of people say that Fenty is really a hit and miss brand. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'm sorry if you were expecting to see a fourth day, but I just cannot go in public looking like this again. If you do, for some reason, want to try this, if you already have the soft matte foundation or the hydrating foundation, I would go at least 1 to 2 shades lighter than what you are in those. It's not worth the money to me. This is a no for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you took something out of it. If you guys have tried this powder, please let me know if you like it. If you didn't like it, please also let me know. I want to know who is with me on that one. But if you guys are interested in binge watching, I do have a whole reviews playlist. I either will link it up here or I linked it in the beginning of the video. I don't remember. 4 days ago was a long time. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in a few days.